Should doctors have side hustles or passion projects? Well, definitely passion projects, but should they have side hustles? Should they have side gigs? We live in a world where inflation is high, pay is poor, people are trying to make ends meet, and they feel that the best way to do that is to increase your sources of income. We hear that all the time. But in the field of medicine, where you're dealing with people's lives, you're trying to be a clinician, you're trying to get your skills up, is it always appropriate for doctors to have side hustles? And that's what I'm going to discuss in this video today. A colleague of mine who's going to start working less than full time was slightly worried about the loss in pay, because if you work less than full time, you get paid less than full time. And she was thinking, how can she up her income in order to suit the lifestyle that she's chosen? And in this video, I'm going to highlight a bit of the advice that I'd given to her, and I hope that you find this useful for yourself. Doctors on the whole are some of the hardest working people I know, and a portfolio career is not new to doctors. In fact, it's something that really underpins our career as a whole. We were told from the very early onset in school that this job is stressful, you need to find an outlet. And you can find an outlet in sports, media, whatever it is you want, but you need to find something to do that keeps you driven enough to do your job and keeps you sane enough to do your job and to prevent you from having burnout. But as well as that, as a trainee doctor, you do portfolio work, so it's making sure that your paperwork's up to date, you have to do audits, and you even are really encouraged to get involved in research. So you have to do all these things alongside an average 48-hour week. So when you think about it like that, doctors are not new to doing multiple things at once or to being multi-hyphenate. And if anything, it's strongly encouraged within our career. But in the modern day of burnout, increasing pay, increasing inflation, discontent and disillusion with the career, everyone wants autonomy. I definitely do. Is it still appropriate to have a side hustle? Or are these side hustles that, you know, we would typically had in a day, like research and policy and things like that, they're now becoming things like content creation or contracting, medtech, yoga teaching, anything, you can do anything under the sun. Are these things distracting us from our career? So for me, the major question you have to ask yourself is, what type of clinical career do you want? And once you determine what type of person you want to be, I think that will help you answer the question of whether or not a side hustle is appropriate for you. So for me, the major con is if you wanted to be a super specific surgeon, be really technical and great at your job, or similar in the academic world, the time that you take away having a side hustle, so a side hustle in my definition is a job or a business that creates money and income for you, and not necessarily an outlet for de-stressing. It's not like going to a yoga class or playing sport. It's having a side business or a side job that gives you money, right? So if you want to be any of those two, having that will distract you ultimately from what it is I think is your end goal. And if you do have free time, not to say be toxic at work, but is your free time better spent gaining skills that can help you get to that place? You could argue in research, you could do like consulting, medtech, policy work alongside it as a side hustle, because yeah, that may well help you in your academic career. That might not necessarily be the same for a surgical career. Whereas if you're happy being good at your job, good with patient care, excellent in your own way, but you feel the need to have things to boost your portfolio, then yeah, I would definitely say go for it. So as an obstetrics and gynecology doctor, I am in a surgical specialty, but within my specialty, you can go down the gynae surgery route, you could go through ambulatory gynae, which is doing sort of gynecological procedures, you could go down the obstetric route, you could go down the route where you're sort of being super specific with scanning or looking after really sick women. So there's a vast variety of things that I could become a subspecialist in, right? And if my subspecialist was going to be gynae surgery, I may well not have the time for side hustles, in my opinion. So that would be my major con. The other thing would be about time management. So again, thinking about a side hustle and a side job being something that creates money, you cannot fob it off, right? So doing that alongside a busy clinical career might then mean that you have less time for you. And you just have to be super organized to make sure that you are not forgetting yourself and you're not putting yourself at risk of burnout. Because if you are burning out, not only will your clinical career suffer, not only will your side hustle suffer, but you will suffer too, and your family and your life around you. I think there are so many pros to having a side hustle as a doctor. Obviously why I've chosen to do it. So clinical medicine is a career, especially as a trainee, where you don't necessarily have control over your time. There's not that much flexibility, and depending on the job, it can be quite intense. And having a side hustle or a side job allows you to use a different part of your brain and allows you to explore interests that you may never have explored before, and it allows you to give an outlet for some passions, which I think in the long run help your clinical career, because you're happier as a person and therefore you can give better towards your job. I think it gives you way more money. So again, if it's something that you've monetized, you have more money, which again relieves the stress of the job, relieves the stress of life, and may well prevent burnout in a way, and it allows you focus more on the fun parts of your job. So for example, for this year, there's been a specific module that I wanted to get done, and I've given up bits of my free time in order for it to get done. And I don't feel resentful about that in a way that I would have done had I had nothing on the other side keeping me happy. And if you can think about it, I went into university pretty much around the age of 18. And for 6-7 years, I was taught about medicine, the human body, all the anatomy. And then I went into the workplace, and again, you're being taught about clinical medicine. But actually, there are so many life skills that I was never taught, that I'm having to rely on the expertise of my sisters and things like that to teach me. So some things related to money, sending corporate emails, how to respond in form of negotiation, and how to budget, how to say no. And these are skills that I've not learned from my clinical job, but these are skills that I've learned from the side hustles or being in more corporate spaces, dealing with people who have a different mentality to the way I would think as a doctor. So those are roughly my pros and cons. I want to know what you think. I want to know if you've got a side hustle, how you think it has helped or harmed your career. And yeah, let's chop it up in the comment section below. If you've liked this video, please subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to grow this channel and release a video a week for 100 weeks and see how far that gets me. Until next time, peace.